Usually to stay alive in a game, you need guns, tons of ammo, and a sometimes not so hilarious catchphrase. Frogger blows that concept right out of the water. In 2006, Frogger came to us on the Xbox Live Arcade for the reasonable price of $5. This port from the old arcade version pulled the old switcheroo on us. Originally, Konami developed Frogger and Sega published it. Now, Konami is the publisher, and Digital Eclipse has become the developer. I wasn't terribly pleased at the result and find it hard to believe that Konami was either, unless they couldn't see past the dollar signs in their eyes. But still, it doesn't get much more pure than Frogger. In the early 80s, even before I was around, this game came to arcades and steamrolled any other cabinet that wanted to eat your coins. The port made its way around town, and there have been massive amounts of sequels for good reason. Frogger is popular, well-known, and simple. If you can't play Frogger, you probably can't play video games. Having this title on my 360 ensures that I will always have something casual to bust out while killing time or trying to prove my worth to any friends. There's better precision using the Xbox controller versus a joystick, but I still suck it up hardcore in this game. You would think that a simple concept like move forward wouldn't be too complicated, but it can be maddeningly difficult in the higher levels. It starts off simple enough, get your froggy ass across the level and don't die, but then adds in dangerous wildlife like snakes and alligators, which apparently live very close to major highways, and insane drivers who could care less about a green splat on their windshield. One thing that always disappoints me about Xbox Live Arcade ports is the consistent feel that they had to update certain aspects to make it quote-unquote better. It's not like there's a whole lot to the design of Frogger, so when anything is changed, it's really obvious. The music is different. Blah. I want my old Frogger tunes back. They redid the original color scheme and added in a cartoony frog face when you make it across the level. Still not cool. And yes, there are new gameplay modes, which is cool to get a second player in on the action for co-op and versus, but I think for $5, this title would still have stood proudly in its original form. I still like this version because one thing that the port managed to maintain was the overall feel of Frogger. It's perfect in its simplicity and recalls a time when this was the cornerstone of game development. Frogger doesn't have a story, but I'll leave you today with my version that I've come up with over the years. I find that giving a character a backstory makes me fight harder, and it's true in the case of Frogger. When Gerald, yes, for the sake of this story, his name is Gerald, was young, a flood claimed the life of his parents. He vowed never to step a webbed toe in the water again, and despite the snake and alligator's best efforts at convincing him to stay, he headed for the nearby metropolis. Over a year, he found city living to be expensive, his neighbors cold, and jobs few and far between. Swallowing his pride, Gerald turned around and made his way back to the marsh, only to find the snake and alligator had waged war against him, having sold his property and made quite a lot of coin in the process. Despite his claims of being too old for this shit, Gerald continues to traverse the dangerous landscape in order to get back to the only place he's ever called home.